I'll create a new project. I'm taking Visual Studio 2022, guys. Okay, so because we have to do everything which is modern. There are different types of applications you can take, gentlemen. So I want C#. Okay, so I want C# and I want a console application. So console application, there are two types available for you when you want to take. One, you can see it's a .NET framework. Other is just .NET for you. Now, one important point you all have to know with respect to .NET here is, if you simply tell .NET from now, okay, it means it is .NET Core. Okay, and the other one is .NET Framework. That's the old one. Okay, so which is surviving for you, right? .NET Core. Now, what is this .NET Core? So when you choose, see, when I just tell console app, okay, that is for .NET, you can see it's clearly telling we are developing something for Windows, Linux, and Mac, right? It's very clearly telling, right? That means whatever you develop, it can run on Windows, it can run on Mac, it can run on the other OS, okay, Windows, Mac, Linux. Any OS will be good. But this is mostly confined to Windows. But you have variations in this, like you have something called Mono, okay, which is a Linux version for the .NET. But when you use .NET Core, whatever code you develop, they have kept it common for cross-platform, right? So you can use it from any platform you want. So when you talk about .NET Core, gentlemen, .NET Core, you have core language features. So we'll tell it as .NET Core or simply .NET. Okay, they are synonymous now. So you have core languages for it, like C#, VB.NET, and things like that. You have ASP.NET Core in this case. We have Entity Framework to access database, Entity Framework Core. Okay, so this makes the .NET Core completely. So the target is for Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, iOS, everything, right? So we're targeting. Right. Okay, Android and iOS. Okay, gentlemen. Okay, so that is your .NET Core. So you can develop your personal apps, games. Okay, so all these will be platform independent for you when you use your .NET Core. Now, using .NET Core, you people can build apps. That's what I was telling you. Apps. What type of apps? Apps for devices. Apps for devices. Apps for web applications. Cloud. Internet of Things. Internet of Things. Embedded apps, right? So these are some of the things what people can use. Okay, so build your apps. Another advantage, the selling point of .NET Core, it is an open source. So you can also contribute. It's an open source, you can also contribute. The major selling point, it is cross-platform. So whatever you develop in Windows, it can be deployed, okay, in Linux, right? In other platforms. It is cross-platform. Okay, and of course, it is maintained by Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft, and it has a huge community support on GitHub. Community on GitHub, how you want to. Okay, so .NET Framework, it is more pertaining to Windows that has a huge runtime which supports. Right? Now, when you come to .NET Core, it has a runtime. It has a runtime, which is called as Core Common Language Runtime, CLR is there. Okay, so whatever code you write, okay, it has to run within the boundaries of this .NET runtime. Right? And it has libraries support. Libraries. Some inbuilt libraries are there, which are called as core libraries. Libraries will have set of classes, okay, a set of APIs, which can be consumed across projects. That'll be there. And it has some tools and few compilers to support you Okay, develop. So this is called as core software development kit. That's there. Okay. And there is another thing. It has something called .NET. If you want to post it somewhere in the application, so you have something called app host, which is .NET of app host. The name itself is .NET for it. So you can run it as .NET, just like how you run Python, okay, space, but the Py file you pass, like the .NET space you can pass. There is a host available for you to run your .NET application. Okay, so what you can develop using .NET Core. So majorly the learning purpose, it will be console apps. It's console apps. Okay, so then you can also have ASP.NET Core app. Okay, and the universal Windows apps. Okay, so you can just have UWP apps also. You can just develop using .NET. So there are a few differences which you people have to know. First day, the first hour will be theory, guys, a little like this. I'm just giving informations which could be as concise as possible. So you have .NET Framework. You have .NET Core. And you have a framework called Xamarin. Right? So using .NET Framework, you have rich libraries to develop so desktop applications. So this WPF, Windows Presentation Foundation, works on textures and gradients, whereas WinForms works on GDI and GDI Plus, graphic device interfaces. This works on textures and gradients. Textures and gradients are the formats which your video card directly takes, guys. But all your drawing, your positioning in WinForms, you'll do using GDI and GDI Plus. It has to get converted into textures and gradients, whatever. That's a major difference between WPF and WinForms. Okay, so GDI and GDI Plus, finally it has to get converted to the form what the video card, what the VRAM takes. Whereas WPF, it just directly produces whatever the VRAM takes. So no converters, no adapters required for it when you want to render. So the rendering will be much smoother in WPF for you. Okay, so that is something which you have to know, but we're not dealing with all these now. Okay, so all these are not there for you, WPF, WinForms, and all these. So ASP.NET is there for web application development. Okay, so we'll talk in depth on next Monday when I start MVC. Okay, so base class is called as BCLs, base class libraries. There are lots of libraries available which all can you utilize. So using .NET Core, you can develop UWPs. Okay.
Sir, please increase the font.
Enough?
Yes, sir.
So I'll share with you at the end, but it's good. Increase the font size. I'm just introducing this, guys. I'm just giving the introduction section for you. Okay, so what is required for this? So what you people have to do, whatever points I'm giving, you have to search. For example, I'm talking so much on UWP apps, right? So UWP. So you people should know, okay, so the Windows platform, okay, the universal Windows platform apps, or what is it? Okay, so from an interview point of view, if you have slides, it's always well and good. Okay, so you can utilize it. Right. ASP.NET Core. Okay, so you can use .NET Core. And to utilize all these, we have the core library. You go to Xamarin, it is for developing your apps for iOS and Android. On Android. Okay, so now iOS Android. Okay, so that is much famous. Okay, so it was for mobile apps development that was really doing well. Okay, when it started. Okay, so now suddenly .NET Core came and then it became platform independent. Okay, so Xamarin's use subsided a little right? Okay, so it had a special library, mono. See, the base class libraries were there for .NET Framework. This had mono class libraries. Mono class libraries, and you can develop the OS X in this. Okay. So that is something which you people have to know clearly. So here you had base library, here core library, here mono. Maybe I can put this on top. Anyhow, that's fine. Not a problem. Okay. So this is, I think I messed up. To put here. This will make sense now. Okay, so core library, mono class libraries. Okay. Now, when you talk about .NET, so when you go here, it's asking me whether you want the .NET framework or you're looking for a normal console app, which is .NET Core app. Okay, so which is targeting all these platforms. Suppose if I want to take a library, including I want to build a library. Here you can see there are so many options for you to create the library. In that also, it's clearly telling, do you want a library for Windows only, or it is for all platforms you're targeting? So you can see that there are libraries available for you. But you can see there is a .NET library available. Okay, so there's a .NET standard library available. You people have to have a look at it. There's a normal class library available. So you'll somewhere when you get down and see, you can see .NET framework library is also available. Okay, so this is the core library. Where okay, so in your editor actually supports telling that the C#, Android, all these. For other things, you won't have it, right? There's a C# or Windows desktop library, right? So that is an option we have. But what I'm looking for to start with is a console application. We'll stick with it. Okay, let us get back to this. Okay. Now, you have to understand, when you want to build an app in .NET, the building blocks of .NET, the basic building blocks of .NET are very simple. You just use a simple. You need a runtime, .NET runtime. First of all, you want a runtime. Second one, there is a type system available called common, okay, type system. CTS stands for common type system. So these are all possible data types, what you might use, possible data types, what you might use in your projects. So they just detect it, identify what are the possible data types you might be using in your projects. So when you look at the CTS type, there are so much. Okay, the common type system. I've just clicked. I hide this. Just give me a second. I'll put another place. Here it is. So there's a common type system available. Yeah, I wanted to list. This is showing some Microsoft.com. Yeah, the common type system. So there is the common type system. I'm just showing you. This is not the common type. So I just want to talk about what are the data types which actually support. No, there's a huge list, guys, actually, what we can use. For example, if you take numerics, is it showing any members? Not this. I'll do one thing. So whatever types you people can use, okay, whatever data types you people might use, Okay, so that will be actually available in your .NET actually. So you have to just conform to that standard. For example, integer which takes 4 bytes. I'm not getting the right articles to show you. Okay, so integers which takes 4 bytes, integer which take 8 bytes, integer which takes 16 bytes. Okay, or float value, the numerics, for example. I'll just try to give you CTS standards, C# numerics, for example. Okay, for example, if you're using int, it's not int for you. Like this, it is C. This is what I was just searching for. Right. So if you're using long, it is 64 bits integer internally. Okay, these are the CTS types, common type system. Okay, so you'll be typing as integer, but it's integer of 4 bytes. If you tell unsigned integer, it is, okay, so again 4 bytes, unsigned, signed bit will be used for you. Right, like that. Okay, so you have these values which are actually available. Okay, so that is something which you all have to know, right? The CTS, the common types, whatever you might use. Okay, so there's no type called integer internally. Okay, so it will get converted to int32 like that. Then we have common language system, common language specification. Okay, which describes the constructs what you're going to use. Okay, so what are the protocols you people have to follow? Okay, the constructs. And remember, all languages should agree on this. All languages should. Right, gentlemen? Right. So that should be absolutely neatly in place. Okay. Now, you have to know one thing. If you want to use your .NET, whether it's a .NET Core or a .NET framework, okay, or core, you want to use. Okay, so it's a huge library which contains everything what the programmer requires. Programmer wants inter-process communication, there are APIs available ready. Okay, programmer wants to work on web application, okay, there are APIs ready, there are libraries ready, right? And now, when you're using a .NET framework core, okay, you have to know a few things, gentlemen. Number one, you can use any language. So the language can be any language. You can use C#, you can use Visual Basic. Okay, if you are used to Java, okay, settle with J#. If you want to have C++ syntax, you have something called managed C++. Okay, and these are not only the languages, there are other languages also you can just integrate. You can develop your own languages. Okay, but if your language follows the CLS, CTS, and the runtime, there's a runtime for you called CLR, common language it's called as. So we don't tell it's a C# language runtime or a Visual Basic language runtime. It's a common language runtime. Okay, common language runtime. So that means whatever code you're going to emit, finally it has to conform to the standards of the runtime what .NET actually offers. So when you use C#, gentlemen, there is a compiler for C#. There is a compiler for Visual Basic, J#, Managed C++. Others will have its own compilers. Right? So C# has a compiler, C# compiler, which you people can use. Visual Basic has its own compiler, VB compiler.exe. Please mute. J# has its own compiler. Managed C++ has C++ language compiler. Others will have their own compilers. If you have other languages, you should have your own. Now, one important point you all have to know here is
Sir, please mute at your end.
1 minute, I'll mute.
Yes.
You're asking me to mute?
No, not you. The Snehal.
Then I got
I think
it.
it's unmute by mistake.
You know, the way you sounded, gentlemen, it was like telling me to mute. Sir, you mute, please.
No, sir.
Okay,
Sorry, sir.
no, just joking. Thank you. Okay. Because we are not live on the session, right? So otherwise there'll be a lot of okay.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
Sir, why she it is she has written actually. Why she saw? Why it is pronounced?
Initially it was called as C sharp. Initially it was called as C hash. We were pronouncing as C hash only. So later they made it as sharp. Okay, so thinking that the people can digest it much sharply. It's nothing like why, the name is just name convention what they used. Okay, so that is why .NET also you can ask a question, right? Okay, this it doesn't go with this. This is called J sharp. Okay, it's not J hash, right? Okay, let it be. Now, remember one thing, gentlemen. Whatever these guys produce, whichever language you use, so whatever these languages produce, right? Whatever these languages produce, right? That is going to be something which is accepted by everybody, which is called as MSIL code, Microsoft's intermediate language code. This was brought in competition with Java's bytecode concept. Okay, so Java compilers, when you just compile using Java, it produces the bytecode. That makes platform independent, Java platform independent. Why? Because you have platform dependent JVMs. Okay, you have thousands of JVMs residing in different platform, which understands that bytecode and converts that to the respective native code of that machine. Right. So like that, Microsoft, to achieve the platform independency, they brought an intermediate language code, MSIL code, Microsoft's intermediate language code. Okay, now the difference between the bytecode and this, the difference is, this is something which can be programmed. You can program directly. You need not use any languages. You can directly write code. Okay, there's a tool called ilassembler.exe. So you can write your codes in Notepad and then use IL. Okay, and then you can, yeah. Okay, so you people can just use ILASM. Okay, IL assembler is there, using which, if you know the MSIL code, you can just directly code this. But bytecode is not something, okay, which could be coded directly by us. The compiler will emit it, but remember, it is a readable code. It's imaginary code for a normal programmer, but it is a readable code for the JVM. So that means the JVM guys, the people who develop JVM, they should understand the bytecode and convert that to the respective native codes of the machine. Right. So it is a readable code for the JVM, but imaginary code for your programmers. Whereas MSIL code is something which the programmer also can understand directly. He can also code directly, need not use C# or Visual Basic. Okay, end of the day, okay. Now MSIL code. And this MSIL code, okay, it is not the platform code, remember. Just like how Java's bytecode is getting converted by JVM, we have just-in-time compiler, JIT compiler, just-in-time compiler, we call it as, whose job is to convert the IL code into the native code of the machine. Sorry. Okay, native code of the machine. So all these you people create a slide later, guys. I'll share this end of the day. So just-in-time compiler is there. So this will convert the IL code to the native code. Okay, and this is what will be used by, this is a code which will be used by your CLR, end of the day. Right? So that's your CLR, which uses this. Okay? Yeah. So that's a simple .NET framework, which you have to know precisely. So I'll just draw this and keep for you. Okay, that's neat and clean. Okay, gentlemen. So that's a simple .NET code for you. So that should be absolutely neat, clean, and crisp for you to start with. Okay. Now, when you want to work with Visual Studio, guys, so what you do is, okay, use the most latest Visual Studio always. Okay, it will have all the features. So use the latest Visual Studio, download it in your machine, and all if you're working from your house. Okay, so because if it is your lab, then you have to depend on what they give, right? Since now it is in your control. So use, the long-term support, LTS, right? The long-term support. So you just have a look at it. You'll get the standards, right? So that should be absolutely neat, clean, and crisp for you. Okay. Now, let us start with a small concept. See, we have to discuss on what are assemblies and all this. That I'll put it to the later section. When you just take this and have a look at this, I have to talk about what are assemblies. Okay, so these things, what are assembly structures, intermediate language and all these things, I'll move it to session number 11. Okay, because it has to be discussed at this time when I talk about assemblies. Okay, so there's the chronology, what we have to maintain. I'll move it there. And now we'll jump into C#, and try understanding what C# is. So you people just saw what .NET Core, Mono, Xamarin, where it is used. Okay, and other things I'll just bring. Okay, so we'll see. But we will jump into a simple console application because these things should have been along with others. Simple console application, and we'll see some basics to start with. So here we are. So shall I take Core first? I'll take a .NET Core application first. Okay, and then we can see the difference later. So I'll take Core because this is popular. And I'll put it, no, I'm in a different session here. So I'll take Bangalore, day 1. That's your folder. Okay, and here I will call it as console DAC app knowledge park. No, knowledge park is no more, right? Electronic City, EC. Right? So this is what is there. So let's try using it. Okay, so EC, so that's, okay, it's asking, do you want to place the solution in the same directory? No, let it be the way. I'm not changing anything here. I've just taken a console app. Okay, a normal console app. Let me repeat this for you. Oh, sorry. So first, let us open Visual Studio. Okay, if you're trying to have different versions of Visual Studio, then the option might change here and there. There won't be major change, guys. No, this is Renisha's assignment I was checking. So here I come and I'm looking at the console application. So when you tell all, so when you tell clear all, it'll be, everything will be there in this for you. It'll be a little difficult to find where it is. Here it is there actually, console app. I'll take the normal console app. Okay, so but when you filter from here, it'll just give what is required for you. And I'm looking only from C#. Okay, so from C#, so it's also giving Visual Basic, J# and other things, right? So I'm not looking at .NET Framework initially. So I'm just looking at the console app here. Now when you go here, so where I want to store it at like day one. End of the day, I'll give this also for you. And the name, okay, I'll call it as some name I started, console app EC, DAC EC, something like this. Okay, so that's the project which I'll share. I'll be sharing only the files with you. So it's asking me, okay, .NET 6, it is a LTS now. So we'll try to use that LTS, long-term support. But remember, okay, so .NET 4.7 was your actual target, but this is the one which is settled in the industry now. Okay, so that should be absolutely fine. So I'm not so this is .NET 6.0 we are using. So here I'm telling do not use the top level statements. Do use the top level statements. So I'm unchecking and showing you. I'll just create first one application. You're seeing something like this, console.writeLine, where what goes, you'll be completely confused. Okay, so where what is happening? Okay, see console application is there when you run. Okay, so it is like just like writing a simple application, console will run. But where, what is that? Where is that console? Who's hosting it? That is a little difficult. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll close this solution. Okay, I'll get back to your folder. I'll be doing that a little later. Now, whatever application I created, I'll delete it, Shift delete. I'll throw this off from here. Now I'll get back. I'll just hold this folder name, that's enough. I'll tell I want to create a new project. It's a console app. Next. Okay, it automatically picked up CDAC Bangalore, 20th January. So console app, DAC EC. This is my code. So next, now I'm telling do not place. Getting it right? Do not use the top level statement. Okay, so do not use top level. What does that mean is it will give you the complete code structure for you. Otherwise, the default things will be hidden. Okay, you just saw console.writeLine before. Now I'm telling create again, but I'm keeping this checked. Create. Now see what happens. You'll see, okay, there's a program available. There is a main entry point available. This is your static void main. Okay, console.writeLine. Earlier, what happened? They were hiding all these from you. Okay, so only this we were typing. Okay, that is modern, very, very modern way. Okay, .NET 6.0 from last 1 year only that has started for you, right? So you won't know where is the entry point, but you'll get used to it. Okay, so there'll be one file where the entry point. You'll be creating other files and you'll be working on this, right? So that should be fine. Now, okay, so I'm telling, so the top level codes, let it be there. Don't hide it, right? So let everything be there. So you know that there is a main available. But actually what was happening in the previous technique, all these were getting generated when you compile. Okay, they'll hide all these from you. The compiler will generate and whatever you put in that file, it'll add here directly. The compiler will do that job. Okay, now, so that we'll do after 3 or 4 days. Okay, so as of now, you understand the core ideas behind this .NET. Now, let us come out with a small concept. I'll start with the variable x. Okay, so x is equal to 0. There is a value I have here. Then I'm telling string. I'll have a number which is in string for you. So let it be 1, 2, 3 is a number which is in string. Simple application I'm just creating. There's a number available, check and use. Then I'm using a result, result 1, where I'm telling x plus num. That will hurt. The reason is num is a string, x is an integer, and I have to convert that into an integer. To convert that, there are some APIs. int.parse. I'm telling convert this string. int.parse, this will get converted into num. To copy this line, I used Control D in Visual Studio. Okay, now I'm telling x plus, there's another way of converting. There's another granular level where I have a class called convert, and there you can tell convert to what? Convert dot. You have so many conversions available for you. So I'm telling I want to convert to int 32. 32-bit integer I want to convert. So there is either you can use parse or you can use convert. Okay, so now, so if you see this parse converts a string, okay, into 32-bit equivalent. But when you use this convert, you will have complete control whether you want it in 32. Okay, so parse method is not present with every type actually. So you convert will actually give you more granular level control on this. So there's an exception it's throwing. So you can see this guy also throws the same format exceptions if something is not wrong. Okay, something is wrong. So people have to identify what is the difference between these two now. Okay, so now, so it's going to return 0 for you if it is null, but this guy is going to throw exception if it is null. That's a major difference. Okay, you have to know, but I'm just leaving it to you all. Okay, convert and int, we can just use it for parsing. CDAC has some people who want assignment marks. Now I'm telling console.writeLine. I use CW and tab twice in Visual Studio. Console.writeLine. Okay, where I'm telling x is equal to what is the value of x? Okay, plus num is equal to whatever is num is equal to 2. Is equal to 2. So these are placeholders for me. Okay, these are placeholders. So I have 0, 1, and 2, which are within curly braces, has to be replaced. So there I'm replacing a value x, define x, comma num. At this location, it has to be num, comma result 1. Okay, so that's how we do it. Okay, now I'll just show it again for you. Or what I can do, I can tell x is equal to plus x dot toString. I have to concatenate and bring plus num is equal to plus, I'm sorry. So I have to show that plus sign also inside. Plus num is equal to this num is already a string, so we can leave it as it is. We can live with this. And then we want is the num is equal to num plus we want the result. So result 1 dot toString. So we can just create like this. So that should be absolutely neat, clean, and crisp. So we're just creating this, so that should be fine, right? There's no problem in this. The font size, if it is hurting, just increase a little more. Okay, gentlemen, so that should be absolutely neat, clean, and crisp. Or what I do, so this is the result 2 I'll put. Or I'm telling console.writeLine. Okay, where I'm telling x is equal to x plus num is equal to num. Okay, num is equal to num is equal to num is equal to result 1 or 2, whatever. So this we can use. Now I'm just running this code debug start without debugging. See, I click on debug and tell start without debugging. There won't be much on first day, guys. You can see x is, I'll do one thing, guys. X is 0, y is 0, and result is this much. And result. Okay, so x is x, y. Now, when you run this, you can see I'll do the same thing here. So x is equal to x. I don't want plus, I want a comma. And here we'll tell num is num plus. So whatever is the result, we'll just have it here. Result is equal to result. So we'll do the same here. X is equal to x, comma. Num is equal to num, comma. Result is equal to result. So now let us run this, gentlemen. How about you to understand this very clearly? What is this? Why is this hurting? Why didn't, sorry. So x is equal, I want the value of x to be extracted at this place. So that you have to put in the curly brace. Okay, curly brace. But this will print the curly brace along with it, guys. Print the curly brace. So when you just go here and run this, okay, so everything is printed as it is, but I want the values to be extracted at that place. So in that case, I have to use string interpolation. It's very basics to start with. Interpolation. I just put $1 here. So these values from the local context will get extracted and you'll get the result intended. Okay. So either you construct the string like this, okay, or use the placeholders in place like this, or you construct the string or use interpolation. Interpolation is the best technique, okay, so it's being accepted now. So you would have seen this interpolation everywhere in Angular, in C++ also has interpolation now, right? So that means the values of the variables will be extracted and it will be injected here. So we don't bother about converting to toString, converting something to something at all. We don't bother, okay? So it will be just taking it directly, right? String interpolation. So we can just use it. So that should be absolutely neat, clean, and crisp for you. Okay. So now I just had a couple of things here. So that should be absolutely fine. Now what I'll do, let this be program. I'll call this as the namespace. I'll change it as nm1, small nm1. I'll change it to nm1. And the program name, I'll just leave it as CME. Okay, so View Solution Explorer. When you go here, let us rename this file. Rename. I will call it as Hello App, or I'll call it as O001 Hello App. A simple Hello App. You have to just run this Hello App. Okay, when you share this file, you have to just add this and run this. Okay, so that should be fine. Now what I'll do, you have to know the dependencies when you see here. Okay, so what are the dependencies? See, there are so many dependencies for you, whatever we are using here. Okay, in framework, most of the things will come into one library. Here, whatever is required, only that will get injected. The rest will be ignored. We will talk about it later. Let me not put everything as of now. Now, let me add another file here. Say I right click on the project. Solution is combination of multiple projects, guys.